Okay, part 2 of the dog collar videos. So this one I'm going to try to do, hopefully 3, of my preferred types of collars. Now, it really depends to me what kind of dog you're working with, depends on what kind of collar I suggest. So the first one I'm going to do is my favorite. Well, there's a lot of discrepancy about what these things are called, but to me, they're called Martingale collars. Now, there's people who call them soft correct collars, um, soft training collars, partial pinch collars, partial choke collars. It really just depends on where you are. To me, they're called martingales. These suckers were invented back in the day when, well, actually, they're still used today, but when people started running greyhounds and other sight hounds in running competitions, what they noticed was that if your dog's neck is the same size as its head, all your dog has to do is duck its head down and the collar comes up over their ears and your dog takes off. What these do is they allow the collar to sit loosely around your dog's neck until it pulls. Then there's no leeway for your dog to get its head out through the collar. I have one for my basset hound because she's got a lot of dewlap and extra fur and skin around her neck. And if I put a flat collar on, unless I put it on for like the day and take it off, she gets a rash because it has to sit fairly tight so that she doesn't get out of it, but fairly loose so that it doesn't give her a rash. These collars are also good for dogs who are notorious for getting out of their collars. Now, I know a lot of people will say that choke chains dogs can't get out of, but it's a lie. A properly fitted choke chain, maybe, but if your dog is smart enough to get her head or her paw behind her ears and pull the chain off, it's going to come off. So when you fit one of these, what you want to do is at the tightest, when you are pulling this chain, these two rings should not come together. They should be about an inch apart. So if I were you, I would bring your dog to the store where they have these and try it on, because this is as, it's kind of hard to see because there's another chain behind it, but this is as close as they should be. There we go. That's about as close as they should get. Because if you allow the rings to get too close, what happens is there's a hole. See that? See how there's like there's like a V between the two rings? That's just enough for most dogs to get their heads out of the collars. These are also great for training puppies because there is no hardness in the collar really, and you can't hurt your dog. Once it gets to the end, there's nothing. Just enough, and that's it. Um, I suggest these as a first step before proceeding to the next one that I'm going to show you. Um, because I'm a big believer in taking steps. You shouldn't automatically run to the nastiest collar you can find on the shelf. It just causes a lot of issues in the future, where you can't correct your dog with anything smaller because it doesn't understand what you're doing. So this is a good first step. They come in lots of colors, shapes, sizes, designs. You can get some that clip together. These ones just slide over their heads. So this is called a martingale. The next collar has a bad reputation, and I'm sure you guys have all seen the videos on YouTube about the prong collar. Now, these were invented in Germany as a retaliation to the choke chain, which causes 95%. There's a 95% chance that your dog is going to die from a tracheal injury or die with a tracheal injury because of the choke chain, because there is no stop to them. This is built like the martingale, where it can only close so far. So, at the tightest, your dog cannot get hurt. Another thing you'll notice is that these prongs do not point straight down, which means that this collar does not have the facilities to poke holes in its neck. Um, they're also blunt. I'm not sure if you can see that, but they're blunt. They're not going to hurt your dog. These are great for dogs who have lots of fur. We're talking the Akitas, the German Shepherds, Newfoundlanders, Great Pyrenees, big dogs with lots of fur, because a flat collar is really not going to do very much. A martingale probably won't either. So these are great for long-haired dogs. They're also good for dogs who might need a little bit more of a correction. A friend of mine just brought home a 10-month-old, partially blind Doberman puppy. This dog has lived with a lady her entire life, and when this lady pretty much let her do whatever she wanted because the dog was sick. So she was allowed to jump on the couch, she was allowed to jump up on people, she was allowed to bite, she was allowed to nip, she was allowed to do whatever she wanted on a walk. She had absolutely no rules, no boundaries, nothing. This is awesome. We picked Lexi up one of these, and it was instantaneous, the difference in the dog, because this provided enough stimulation in the neck to say no. When I ask you to sit, you have to sit down. There's no ins, outs, or buts. So what you want to do to size one of these collars is when you put this collar on, you want it as close to behind the ears and under the chin as you can get it. There is kind of different on a person, but on a dog, this area does not have very much. There's a lot between the trachea and the neck of the dog. Dogs' necks aren't built the same as ours. They have a lot more muscle going around their neck than we do. So you don't want to let this collar hang down, because that is when it could actually potentially cause some problems to your dog's neck. So you want to put this collar as high up on its neck as possible. You also want it so that this is either on the top or on the side that you're walking the dog. You don't want it underneath, because you don't want to spin the collar as you're pulling it. This collar is designed for even distribution all the way around, so unlike a choke chain that is going to apply pressure to one spot on the neck, this is going to go all the way around, which is excellent. Same kind of idea. It's a simple pop and release. So dogs walking along, don't do that. Pretty simple. I tell people before they buy one of these, go to the pet store, find one, put it around your arm or your leg, depending on what sizes they have available, and pull on it as hard as you can. It will not hurt. It's going to be irritating, but it's not going to hurt. And to me, this is a much better solution, a much better alternative to your dog sitting at home barking out the window because you cannot control it on a leash. It is much more humane to teach your dog how to walk with one of these than to let your dog sit in a house and rot till it turns 15. This is not a bad thing. People have it in their minds now that prong collars are nasty, mean collars that are only meant for Dobermans and Rottweilers and big, mean, nasty dogs. My St. Bernard has walked on one of these because she did not learn how to walk as a puppy. And I will not leave my St. Bernard at home to sit in the lawn while I go out for a walk with my Basset Hound, because this is a lot more humane than leaving my dog in the yard. A lot of people seem to think, oh, well, I have a yard, that's okay. A yard is not socialization, and Lexi is perfect proof of that. This poor dog pretty much lived with this woman inside her house. She was let out into the yard and brought back inside the house. She has an amazing fear of men because she never lived with a man before. She doesn't understand how to act around other dogs, although she's learning beautifully. She has no idea how to walk on a leash, and one of these has fixed it. This has meant the difference between Lexi's life and Lexi's death. And to me, that is more important than any sort of stereotypical cloud that surrounds the prong collar. Seriously, if you have a dog that pulls, buy one. Your dog will thank you for it and be 100 times happier than if it sat inside your house and watched you drive away. So I'm going to split this video up again because there's 2 more collars I want to go over. If you have any questions about the prong collar or about the Martingale, shoot me a message. If there's another collar you're interested in seeing and I haven't gone over yet, keep holding on. I will get to the next one, and hopefully I'll cover another collar that you've heard of.